Just before Thanksgiving here, 2024, and Kaleidescape has dropped kOS version 10.20 on all of us. It's a pretty big update, and there's some interesting things, some definite improvements, some additional push of like parity, more parity of features with regards to the Stratov V, some bug fixes and other things like that. So I wanted to make this video, put out the announcement, and let's go through basically the release notes, the patch notes, and talk about some of the specifics of the items on this list. One thing that I will note right off of the bat, depending on when I release this and depending on when you may be watching it, you may not actually have 10.20 if that's within short order of when I'm actually recording this. Of course, if it's further off into the future by some amount of time, more than likely you probably already might have it on your system if you have the Kaleidescape. But I do want to mention, because this is always a common question, that rollouts of updates in the Kaleidescape ecosystem usually kind of come in waves. They come to dealers and to like early kind of advanced support people in the beginning, and then they start kind of rolling out from there in waves of customers. So if it takes a little while to see your system update, you just kind of have to sit tight. There's really not much that you can do about it. Just sit tight and wait. Eventually everybody will get it. I was fortunate enough to basically get 10.20 in my system the day that they came out with the information, which was sent to the dealers via email and also shared on the Kscape Owners Forum. So another pro tip about Kaleidescape, if you're in the ecosystem, you're thinking about it, and you want to really engage around the platform, hey, this channel is a great place, of course, but in addition to that, Kscape Owners Forum is really the place to go. The developers and other representatives from Kaleidescape engage there, share information, feedback, and discuss, and of course, there's a whole bunch of really happy and highly engaged and motivated owner community there discussing all manner of Kaleidescape and home theater in general. Check it out. So let's jump into 10.20. So for 10.20, there are 5 things mentioned specifically as Stratov V level improvements. And I'm going to read some of this directly from the patch notes. Number 1, download progress indicator. Movies that are downloading to a Stratov V connected system will now appear on the left side of the new collection with an indication of download progress. I think that's a nice little quality of life improvement, especially for a device like the Stratov V, where if you're using it in standalone mode and you're turning content over, you maybe want some real-time indication about the downloading progress and what's happening and when a movie may be ready if you kicked it off and you're going to be ready to watch it in several minutes, 10 minutes or so from now. So basically what happens is there's a little grayed out movie poster that will appear on the left, and there's essentially a little progress dial that pops up and fills in per the picture that was in the release notes. So again, pretty cool, nice little ergonomic, informational quality of life improvement. Number 2 has to do with the UI scale. So I talked about this a little bit on the channel, and there's been a lot of discussion on the owners forum as well. The fact that the Stratov V outputs its UI or generates its UI internally natively at 1080p, and then there's like an upscaling essentially that runs on it to 4K. There are cover art scaling improvements. The method of displaying movie cover art on Stratov V has changed to improve overall crispness and clarity in the on-screen display. So this is a big one, and I think probably one of the biggest items in the bullet list. I can definitively say that I have had in my setup a Stratov C and a Stratov V in the theater with the biggest big screen that I have in there, comparing the two side by side, and it's absolutely true to say that the UI on the Stratov C, the native 4K UI, it does look better. Rendering something at lower resolution on a large screen and upscaling it is always going to be a bit of a compromise compared to native output. So some folks have been a little disappointed by the way it looks for sure. I think if you have a television or a smaller screen, a flat panel type display, this is really even a non-starter. I wouldn't even really worry about it, but it's definitely something that's more noticeable on larger format screens. So I did take a look at this, and I think definitely the improvements are there. Like text rendering on the movie posters looks better. Just the overall look of the posters, the text rendering on the menu UI elements, all of that stuff is noticeably improved. In fact, with 10.20, if you go to the web UI settings of your Kaleidescape system, you'll actually see that there's a new entry that shows that they're actually using AI to help improve the quality of upscale rendering when there's SD or HD content. And I understand that is applied to the menu UI as well. So if you do nothing else, that'll be enabled by default. And again, the other internal improvements that they made to the software should result in hopefully a bit of a nicer looking movie interface, movie wall, if you have a Terra server, and all of that with the Stratov V. I think that's ultimately a good thing. The other element that came along with this is Now, if you go to the web UI and you go to your video settings and you actually set it to output native resolution using an external scaler, it will actually render the Kaleidescape. The V will output the menu UI in native 1080p with no processing, no upscaling applied to it. And so if you happen to have an external video processor, you have a Lumagen, you have one of these MadVR bad boys here, one of these Envies, I found in just some initial kind of cursory testing and playing around with the settings that made the overall best uptick in presentation and quality of the UI. To go ahead and just run the UI in 1080p and let something really purposefully built for video processing with advanced scaling algorithms and all of that do the upscale. So for now, that's how I'm actually running my system. I have it set to the native resolution, use external scaler, and go ahead and let the Envy do the upscaling. I'm still a little mixed whether I may go ahead and pop a Stratov C back in to the home theater setup here, specifically for the home theater room, and then move the V up to my living room. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do that, but in any case, I know this is an item that has had some contentious discussion on the owners forum, and so hey, they're working on it, they're addressing it, they're making improvements, so we can't argue with that, right? And in fact, there's actually even kind of a part B to improving the look of movie posters and movie covers coming to the system. Kaleidescape representatives talked about this on the owners forum. I'll quote the post here. The cover art improvements are actually going to be partly in the new kOS release, that's this 10.20, and partly in a December head-end software release. So the kOS side will improve how the player handles scaling cover images for display. That's what we've been talking about. The head-end side uses a different algorithm for transforming the master images to prepare them for download to the Stratov V. So we'll see what happens with that in September. Be keeping an eye out for that, and when those changes are made, I'm sure again they'll let us know through the Kscape owners forum, and we'll see if that results in an overall, again, another noticeable uptick in quality with regards specifically to the movie posters in the UI. All right, release note number 3 for the Stratov V trailers. Trailer playback is now enabled for Stratov V in the on-screen movie store. So talking about restoring basically full parity of function. You weren't able to play the movie trailers out of the movie store section of the Stratov V. Of course, it was in one of the last big updates that the movie store section of the UI was added back in, and they're hard at work, right, restoring basically all of the capability within the movie store interfaces itself. Cool. If you're surfing new content, looking to buy content, rent some things, I think it's really excellent, pretty much a needed type of functionality to be able to watch the movie trailers for the piece of content that you're considering buying or renting directly in the store. Bullet point number 4, Control 4 driver. An updated Control 4 driver is now available for Stratov V on the support site. So I can confirm that after 10.20 hit my system, and I actually went into the room, I turned things on to check it out, I wasn't getting any response from the V to my Control 4 controller, to my Halo remote. It did require an update of this driver, and I had Dan DiCarlo, my Control 4 integrator at AudioVision. He quickly, thankfully, applied the driver update to our configuration, and it's all set. It's back and working. I did look into the Kaleidescape entry in Home Composer. Luckily, it retained all of my settings. Like, it wasn't a complete reset or anything like that. Even my what did they say macro that I've talked about in other videos here on the channel still existed there. Everything still worked like the way it's supposed to. I didn't notice anything new. Nothing stood out to me in terms of new capabilities for what I was able to observe and poke at. So maybe this was just some internal fixes, some stability improvements, whatnot. It doesn't seem like it was a major feature addition to the Control 4 driver for Kaleidescape. And then lastly, this is kind of a general one, bug fixes. To improve overall playback performance, bug fixes have been implemented to alleviate issues stemming from HDMI interoperability, audio drops, and trick play, meaning play, pause, fast forward, and rewind. So when I talk about being part of the Kscape Owners Forum discussion, some of the usability or operational concerns that folks have had about the Stratov V have been discussed there. They have been engaged and discussed with the Kaleidescape developers in a few different conversation threads there. Again, they're listening, they're testing, they're trying to fix the bugs and improve the stability of the device. That's a good thing. If you have a Stratov V and you were having some HDMI concerns, you were having some audio dropouts in your system, sit tight, cross your fingers, and hopefully when 10.20 hits your system, those concerns will be alleviated. If they're not, definitely continue sending that feedback to support. Let them know, hey, I got the update. There were some fixes in here, and my stuff is still experiencing some troubles. Let them know. Keep the conversation going and keep your feedback vocal. All right, so that's it for the Stratov V improvements. The next thing on the list, though, mentions system activation on the mobile app. Customers purchasing new Kaleidescape systems may now register directly via the mobile app in addition to the browser interface. I think this one is pretty cool for basically a new customer buying a Kaleidescape system. When you get the hardware, you install it, you enter your email address. Historically, you'll get an email from Kaleidescape. It'll have a link to a web form. You fill out the web form, that creates your account. Now, the ability to do that directly in the app could be simpler, more expedient for folks, especially maybe if you don't have access to or you don't really use a personal computer. A lot of people just use tablets and stuff nowadays. You could load the Kaleidescape app, which is awesome, by the way. And if you're in the Kaleidescape ecosystem, you should be using the mobile apps and be able to take steps to do your system activation directly in the app. The last section of patch notes, release notes, talks about performance improvements and fixes. We have made several behind-the-scenes improvements to enhance performance, including improved server performance for systems with large movie libraries. Terra Prime, and Stratov V will keep their databases more up-to-date when idle. Terra and Terra Prime servers will now keep hard disks active to improve overall system responsiveness and performance, enabling movie guide information to be always up-to-date. And then there's just a general bullet point that says bug fixes. Whether any of those will specifically be something notable, I think time will tell. I'm not sure those are something that I will really be able to notice much in my system. We tend to use the Kaleidescape mostly like in our dedicated home theater room. And usually if we decide, hey, let's go down to the theater, let's watch a movie, let's watch something on the Kaleidescape, I'm usually turning the system on upstairs. And by the time that we all congregate or get down to the room, everything's already powered on, synced up, turned on. The movie wall is there. The cover posters have been rendered. So this isn't really something I think that I would notice too much. But if you're switching around from a lot of inputs, you're perhaps using a Stratov V in particular on more of a flat panel, a living room environment, going directly to it, wanting to start up a movie, maybe some of these will be noticeably tangible or an improvement to you. So there we go, kOS 10.20 in a nutshell. I think we've had a steady stream of updates basically since the V launched. I think it's awesome that they were able to get a big software dropout here before things generally tend to slow down in technology and development and so on as we get towards the holidays and the end of the year. Looking forward to what comes in 2025. And again, if you want to pay particular attention to any elements about the changes, the fixes, the improvements in the software, get over to Kscape Owners Forums, get registered, get signed up there, and you'll find the threads pretty easily where these different items are being discussed. You'll see me participating in a lot of that discussion directly as well. And lastly, I'll say it one more time, if you don't have 10.20 on your system yet, sit tight, it's coming. You just gotta wait it out. So sound off in the comments, let me know what you think. What on this list kind of excites you the most? What other types of things would you like to see added, improved, features, capabilities, and so on in future versions of kOS? Sound off in the comments. I can guarantee you that folks at Kaleidescape are paying attention. And of course, if you would like to add an awesome Kaleidescape system to your home theater setup, I'm your guy. I'm a certified authorized dealer for Kaleidescape, as well as JVC, Sony, Focal, Denon Marantz, Panamorph, and a whole bunch of other brands. If you're shopping stuff, you're updating the system, you're building a new home theater system, reach out to me, Jeremy@techthusiasm.net, or go to www.techthusiasm.net. You can contact me through there. The webpage has a listing of all my brands. I love to consult, I love to advise, I love to help folks spec stuff out, and it's incredibly fun and rewarding to deliver you a whole bunch of awesome gear. And if I can't help you, I've got business partners like Audio Advice and others that I can refer you to that certainly can. If you'd like to support me otherwise, hey, at the time that I'm recording this, we're about to hit holiday shopping season. I've got a whole list of general affiliates down in the description. Amazon, Best Buy, Newegg, Target, Walmart, and a whole bunch more. Use them, have your significant others, whatever, the household. Please use the links. They support me a great deal. They don't cost you anything other than a few seconds of your time to click through. Become a channel member, leave a PayPal tip, Venmo tip, leave a super thanks. If you find the content valuable to you, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, share the video, leave a comment. Let's discuss Kaleidescape kOS 10.20, and come on back for more home theater discussion and fun.